Yes, exactly. And you know, Alex, if there's one thing I would wish people would get a concept of, and that is the concept that the states have just as much power to defend freedom as any other sovereign country or sovereign
But they must
state.
exercise that power.
They must, and unfortunately, for more than 100 years, the states have really not done that. It's only until recently that the states are actually becoming more aware of their powers under the 10th Amendment, all the retained powers that they have, to try to once again reestablish these ideals of freedom that we hold. And it's good to see some of the states doing that. I'm sure you're very familiar with the Montana Firearms Freedom Act, which I am actually a part of that litigation, by the way.
Well, good. For those that don't know about it, why don't you tell people?
Well, it's a law that was passed in Montana and, of course, in Tennessee as well, and other states are introducing this bill. And
it's got the feds very, very scared, and it's something you and your father helped lead. Another example of ideas, putting them into action, true leadership. And if others get behind this, it is a tide that is going to be unstoppable.
Exactly, because what it says is, look, if we create this product, in this case it's a gun, but it could be anything. If we create this product and when we sell it within our sovereign borders, in this case the state of Montana, then the federal regulations have no applicability in that state whatsoever.
The interstate commerce clause has no authority.
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to do. And of course, I wasn't the great people in Montana that passed this. I didn't influence them, I don't think, in doing this. They did this on their own, and it's catching on like wildfire. Similar to the state sovereignty resolutions, but this is something that has teeth. This is something that has power behind it, because essentially it is reversing about 130 years of U.S. Supreme Court decisions that have, well, actually, I'll take that back, about 80 years of U.S. Supreme Court decisions that have given Congress this power to just roughshod over state sovereignty, and it's reversing all that. So it's very important, but it's things like that are going to protect freedom, and it's going to really put the brakes on this New World Order. If we stop and think about it, the federal government has absolutely no power to do anything unless the states are behind them and supporting them. So as soon as the states realize that they have the power to stop this almost overnight, we may see a chance of restoration in this country. But until we get back to this idea, I don't believe that we're going to have much of a chance, short of just outright revolution. And I don't think many people want to go down that road because of the cost it entails at this point. But the point is that we have to get back to the ideas of federalism, which were the protecting guardians of freedom in this country.
Absolutely. Go through the battle plan that you break down in this article.
Well, you're referring to the freedom's destruction through constitutional...
Sure, and some of the other articles you and the Constitution Party, your father, and others have been putting out, battle plans, dealing with the states, teaching people the right and proper duties of the state and the people that reside within the states.
Well, that particular article that I wrote, it really, what I try to do is highlight the fact that during the Constitutional Convention debates, the founders and the ratifiers rejected this notion that the federal government has the power to negate state laws, and that, in other words, under the 10th Amendment, the state laws under their sovereignty was not to be negated by the federal laws. They rejected that idea. So, in other words, the states still have the power to do this, and it's through the constitutional amendment process that the states are to decide what they want the Constitution to be, to preserve the freedoms. And what I try to do is highlight the fact that this is not what has been told us over the past 100 years. We've been told that the U.S. Supreme Court and the federal government has supreme sovereignty over the states, and it just is not true. It was rejected by the founders and by the ratifiers specifically. The history is very clear on this subject, Alex. Of course, I'm sure you know this, but your listeners need to understand that this is very clear. We know that the founders rejected the nationalistic idea that states are to have the same co-equal powers that the federal government has with regard to their powers.
And that's co-equal on the three powers delegated to the federal government. The states are actually superior to the federal government because all powers not expressly delegated to the federal government are expressly reserved to the states or the people.
Yeah, Exactly right. You know, if you take a look at what they rejected, what they actually proposed during the conventions for the federal government to have power to regulate, if you look at that, it mentioned agriculture, it mentioned education, it mentioned commerce in general, and they actually rejected those and removed those from the federal government's power. So yes, their power is very, very limited, and it's only been through this supposed living constitution idea that we have been defrauded, and criminally, I think, defrauded from our natural rights of compact here. But the point of the matter is this: the states have the power to reclaim these powers that have been taken from them, because it's their power. It's the power that they got from the sovereigns of their state, that is the people.
Yes, they've usurped our power, and now the state tells us they're God, and police are taught worshiping the government is what is patriotic. Right.
It's very dangerous, and we've just become so used to it. We've become mind slaves to their agenda, and we need a serious awakening and enlightenment of this understanding. But once people understand this, it will cause a tremendous movement, I believe, in restoring our republic, because it's like the competition of commerce or the economic competition model. This will be a competition of ideas that will allow the 50 states to once again find out what works best within their state, within their borders, and we can have freedom restored to this republic. As long as we have this monopolized power that we are forced to accept to the federal government, I don't think there's going to be much hope to get ourselves out of this. But
absolutely, and the COINTELPRO operatives, every time we try to build something or a movement, they'll go, "It's not instant. You're stupid. We need to just shoot everybody." They always turn out to be feds. They know we're in the right, and if we just orderly way educate people, we're going to win. Stay there. We'll be right back with Timothy Baldwin.